Darinda Dick is here now, the CEO and president at Western Missouri Medical Center.
Good morning.
Good morning. This is our regular monthly visit with Darinda. Doing well today?
Doing very good. I mean, it's a little chillier today. We've already been spoiled by the warm weather.
Boy, whatever. 70s and back to the 40s. In fact, our temperatures just bounced around this morning. 42, 43, sitting right there. But it'll be in the 50s. That's okay.
Yeah.
Giving out a lot of shots, or you run out of shots?
We are. Our vaccine clinics have continued to be held. We have given right at 3,800 vaccinations, and we have a clinic planned for next Wednesday with 1,200 more. We have, so as you probably know, Monday, the governor is advancing us to another tier that's going to include K through 12 educators and essential workers. And so we have been working with the local school districts, the county districts, to get teachers scheduled for our clinic next Wednesday. We only had about 1,100 people left on our 7,500 person list that still qualified for the vaccine under the 18 to 64 with medical conditions or greater than 65. So we did share those with the National Guard Clinic in Sedalia this week. So they did try to call some of those patients. Some did take advantage to get the shot early, but we got the list back to try and get them into our clinic too. But we feel confident that we're moving into the next phase, and we've got our list taken care of pretty good. There are other people in the community, though. There's lots of different ways vaccines are coming now as they're trying to increase supply. So I know Compass Health has some doses that they're giving out. I did get notice just last night that there's a planning for a National Guard event here in Johnson County coming up. So next week we'll start planning with the emergency management division.
You're not sure when that is yet?
I don't.
Okay.
The first meeting that they're having about it is Monday, and Cassidy at EMA here is the one leading that. But I know the health department, Mary, we've all been saying, wish the National Guard could come here because they give a lot. They bring their own doses, number one, which is nice, and they give a lot. So, but it is a community coordination because we would still be helping to give the shots and those kinds of things. So, lots of different ways. Just today, I am going to be on a phone call with the governor. There's a new distribution system they're coming out with in March that I volunteered to be in. And I don't know the details, but it will include me with some pharmacies, local pharmacies, and giving us like a guaranteed amount of doses every week to give to our community. So super excited. I mean, the doses seem to be coming from the available sources at the state.
Do you have a waiting list right now of a lot of people who want the shot?
Like I said, we had that 1,100 people, which about 1 in every 2 that we call have already gotten it somewhere else.
Okay.
So,
they have. Okay.
Yeah, almost but when we make the calls, about 1 in every 2 have already had it. So we have, like I said, probably 500 people on that, and then the 700 or 800 teachers. And then we have another 425 people who hit the essential worker list. So not that many. I mean, we're working through it. I think there's still some people that probably qualify under the essential workers, but they just didn't sign up yet. So I think that we'll have, we're going to continue to have availability. So people need to keep their eyes and ears open so that they can get vaccinated.
I think the vaccinations, according to the numbers I've seen, are really helping with the numbers, aren't they?
Absolutely. We actually, just today, I got the statistics from my performance improvement department, and we are, for the first time since November 26th, our testing, our overall positive rate is 13.3%. It's the first time we've been under 17% since November. So we know, obviously, that our positive rates are down. We have had an all-time low of patients being admitted for COVID. I think we had 2 last week. The last time I looked at the county numbers, we had like 39 positive. So we're doing good. I mean, I think that a combination of all the things and the people vaccinated and we're controlling this pretty well in this community.
Statewide, the percentage of positives is way down, a lot less than what we are here. Why would that be? You're giving more tests here to just people who...
Well, the only people getting tested... Well, we are testing people preoperatively still, so every pre-test or operative procedure that people have, we test. So we are doing those, which are asymptomatic. But other than that, they are all symptomatic patients. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. Now they... so I'm really not sure.
Well, I just saw last night on the news where Missouri's, I forget what the percentage was, but it was like single digits across the state. So they're probably giving, I don't know, a lot more tests maybe than you are.
Yeah.
People who are just want to get tested, maybe.
I don't know. I mean, that is curious because we test appropriately.
Yeah.
So I can't say what everybody else's practices are, but.
Well, you practice at the hospital right now as anybody who's going to go in for any kind of a procedure.
Right. That's right.
X-ray or anything has to...
Not just X-ray. I mean, not an X-ray. You can come get an X-ray without one.
Oh, you can? Oh, okay.
But if you're going to get like a...
well, when I got an X-ray a couple of months ago, I had to have one. I think.
No,
no, I didn't. Okay.
If you had a pulmonary function study, which requires some breathing exercises, those require it. If you have a sleep study, if you have any colonoscopy, any surgery, then you have to be tested. But just regular, if you're just having a chest X-ray or just a CT, you don't have to have it done.
Oh, okay.
So
I was having two things. One of them was one of the other ones you mentioned, so that's
right.
why.
One of the, so the guidance came out just earlier this week from CDC with some guidance around mask wearing for vaccinated individuals.
Yeah.
And so that is something we're talking about because fully vaccinated people, it's not recommended that they get tested, even if they've been exposed, is if they only have symptoms.
Yeah.
So we are talking about that, like what place does that play a role in the preoperative testing? So if they are fully vaccinated, 2 weeks post their second shot, and not symptomatic, should we test them?
To give people an example of that, every talk that you and I have had in the past year, we have worn a mask. Mm-hmm. Today we don't have to. Because we've both had both our shots.
Fully, yeah. So it is. I still think that the full no mask ordinances in some of the other states is not. It's not appropriate because the percentage of vaccinated is just not where it needs to be. Yeah. In the places I go, most people are vaccinated. So everybody at the hospital, about 80% of us are vaccinated, and so it. And
you knew I have been.
Yeah, I know you have too. So that is going to be. We are looking at that to make recommendations. I don't know if anybody knows this, but people at the hospital haven't eaten in our cafeteria together for a year. It's been singular dining, solo dining. So we've been pretty strict. Yeah, you can take it back to your office if you have an office.
Yeah.
And so we are looking at that. For vaccinated people, they can sit together and have lunch, and so I'm super excited to see some of this stuff roll back a little bit. But we have just this last week we increased our visitation, so we allow 2 visitors now per patient in the inpatient setting, and that doesn't have to be 2 distinct people. That can be any 2 people that rotate at any time, so 2 at a time, which is really very loose compared to where we've been over the last year.
I know it's been kind of odd for me to drive by the hospital and see maybe 1 or 2 cars in the parking lot there where visitors will park. Go by in the evening and there are no cars there.
Right.
That was weird.
One of the reasons that was for the last year was we had the front entrance closed. And so everybody parked out back because that's where they came in. So we have opened our entrances. We require masking when you're walking in our general hall. So if you come into the hospital, we have a mask and we have a little attestation that says, if you're sick, have symptoms, please don't come in. Yeah. But we're no longer taking temperatures of people who come into the hospital, and not that ever caught anybody anyway. But so we have some of the new protocols make a little bit more sense for us and for patients. So. Yeah.
How are you coming in the refurbishing of the emergency room?
We are on target to be complete March 25th, and so we are adding. We have 3 makeshift fast track rooms we had prior to this remodel, and we are going to have 7 fast track areas at the end of this, which is really this past weekend. For instance, we had 18 fast track patients present on Sunday, and all 18 of them were in within 56 minutes. So door to door, in and out, treated within 56 minutes. So the whole point of this project is to We know that 60% of all patients, retrospectively, we can tell that they qualified for this fast track urgent type care. But really 40% you can tell when they walk in the door that they qualify for it. And so our whole goal is to get them in these fast track areas, start treatment. There's a nurse practitioner that cares for them. There's a nurse that's in charge of them, and get them out door to door in an hour. And so it is a successful pilot that we've done. And so now we're going to have the physical space to support it, and it's going to be a nice refresh for the emergency department. Now, meantime, some of our processes down there have changed, some entrances to get into the ER. So if you go there, it's going, our waiting room is pretty non-existent right now.
Yeah.
And they take you in a back entrance once you get inside. But it's working, and we'll be done before you know it. So we're really excited about it.
Well, one of the biggest complaints you were getting was it takes too long in the emergency room. And
absolutely.
That's what you wanted to get taken care of, isn't it?
Well,
basically?
And it frees up space in the back for those acute patients. So, we are certified in trauma, stroke, and STEMI. And so those time-critical diagnosis patients have to have a bed immediately because minutes count. And so you don't want the back, our other rooms, our regular ER rooms in the back, to be filled with people that could be sitting up in a recliner and cared for very quickly and released.
Yeah.
And so it's really helps even not just get the less sick people in and out quickly. If you're sick, you're going to be there around about 3 hours door to door. That's just the average. That's how long it takes to go through all the testing and all the things if you really have an illness that needs some workup. But if you have beds being wasted with people that could get in and out very quickly, then, we won't sometimes have to shuffle around to get those patients that really need those beds in an emergency situation. So it's going to help everything.
Indeed. Anything else here you want to talk about today? You usually have a few things on your mind.
I have a fantastic marketing department, and so they're like, hey, here's
people.
some things you could talk about. We did open up a telemedicine clinic in Sweet Springs. I don't know if anybody knows the history of Sweet Springs. It's actually Saline County, but they had a community hospital, I-70 Medical Center, that's closed and seemingly going to be closed for good now. And so that community reached out to us and said, would you mind having a telemedicine clinic in our pharmacy? It's called The Market. And so we did open that up at the end of February. And so we have a telemedicine, a computer and a screen, and the patient can make an appointment, and then our Concordia office will be the physicians covering that. And so they can just go to The Market and have their visit with their provider from Concordia. So that's kind of new. It's innovative. We haven't been doing that before. A big announcement that we're having is the history of oncology in this community. We're continuing to evolve our cancer center capabilities, and when I came here 7 years ago, KU is actually the oncology that was in this town. So Dr. Davis was here, and KU decided to move him to Lee Summit and expand care in Kansas City area. And so we had to look for a new oncologist. And so St. Luke stepped in, and they became our oncology partner in 2014. And in 2018, they purchased their clinic. We offered them to purchase the clinic. And so they were providing care in their oncology clinic right by our infusion center. And so they've been there 3 years. And so at this time, we elected to give them notice on the lease. 3 years had expired. So we're not renewing because we had the opportunity to have our own oncologist that would be in a WMMC owned clinic. So Dr. Jaswinder Singh owns his own oncology group. And right now he rents space at the HCA multi-specialty building here on Foster Lane. And he will be coming to be the medical director of our cancer center and really advancing our capabilities. He's going to be using clinical trials. He firmly believes that as an oncologist, you can't adequately treat your patient in the best manner if you don't have access to clinical trials and investigational protocols and meds. So that's something we've never been able to do here before. He's really passionate. He doesn't have a mothership to necessarily send patients to. And so the whole point of a lot of our foundation projects have been cancer care closer to home. And so we want to have the best cancer care and the best
well, there are so many tentacles
here
to cancer. How much of this are we talking about?
He handles, so it would be all the medical oncology and all the infusions. We do not have radiation oncology here, though that's something that he really wants to expand to in this community. We have to, that's cart before the horse until we grow our own oncology program. There's no sense in having a radiation oncology program. However, I do believe that it's a hardship for patients in this community when they need radiation daily. They have to drive to either Sedalia or Lee Summit. So it is a problem. But he can do, and we can do most surgical things, for, we can do like any of the colon cancer, surgeries. Yeah. We do have breast surgery capability. Not, we're not as fancy as KU with that. So it's whatever makes people feel comfortable. But our infusion center and the oncology, the actual oncology oversight will be as good as anywhere. And it will be something that we're growing together for this community. April.
Oh, it's coming.
Coming really quickly.
Yeah.
So more to come out about the actual date that we'll start seeing patients there. But it will be, I would say by April 15th. So we're still kind of fine-tuning the date.
Just the one doctor now?
No, well, he owns the practice. And right now, him and Dr. Ramachandran, she already sees patients here in this clinic on Foster Lane. So they'll both be coming. And then they also have a nurse practitioner that will be on site 5 days a week, which is really helpful, having those physician extenders in the clinic and to help with infusion center and any patient complications if we have an oncology patient that gets admitted for intractable nausea and vomiting or those kinds of things. So they will actually see patients on the inpatient side.
That's kind of the major thing you didn't have until now.
Well, we had it, but anytime you are using physicians from a bigger system, sometimes they tend to send patients back to what they know. And so that doesn't really meet our goal of
it's going to be in
closer
your
to home.
system here.
That's right.
Yours.
But I'm a firm believer. Anybody who really knows me or has seen my actions and my beliefs, I firmly believe, and I grew up in a rural community, I firmly believe that we, everything that we offer, I want to offer it in the best evidence possible. So I worked in Kansas City for 25 years. I know how they provide care. And if we're going to provide that care, for instance, if we're going to do a total knee replacement, we're going to do it just as good as you can get in Kansas City. Now, do I want people to stay here for subpar care? Absolutely not. We don't do neurosurgery. So please go get what you need. But if we're going to offer it, I'm going to be pushing to offer it. I'm going to be pushing to use the best quality metrics and have the best physicians and put it up against anybody. And I am a firm believer in that. And I think if you look at some of the metrics that we've moved, becoming a stroke center in our ER has been an amazing thing for our community. We care for about 25 stroke patients that come to the ER every single month. We didn't used to have that, and now we're providing the best evidence and care. We're, starting the clot busters. We're doing the protocols to rule out hemorrhagic stroke. We are getting them to the comprehensive centers in the city if they need clot retrieval and those kinds of things, and we're doing a good job. And that is something that we were not doing as well when I came 7 years ago. And so it's a big deal, but oncology is the same way. If we don't do it well, then I'm not going to try and beg you to stay because I want what's best for you just like I want what's best for me and my family. But
if you don't do it well, you're not going to continue to do it then probably,
That's right. And so we work really hard on certifications just last week, and a certification alone doesn't say that you're a perfect place, but what certification does do is it's an outside source that makes you go through a series of exercises to make sure you have protocols and the right evidence and the right performance improvement. And so just last week, Joint Commission came and we advanced our OB department, our OB program, our whole program to advance perinatal care, and we got certified for that. We had absolutely no findings in the survey last week, which is almost unheard of. So we have an outstanding OB product. I don't know anyone who doesn't say that. And so, we have went after some of those certifications to not only prove, but just give us the rigor around making sure that we're using the best evidence and doing the right things. And so I'm really committed to that. But one last thing is last night we had a...
Oh, yes. How'd that go?
A Luminary event. So at the hospital, 1 year ago today, the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a pandemic. So we're at the 1 year mark. And the only thing I heard about our invite to this event was one of the police officers said, I don't like how this is worded. It says first anniversary. He said, this better be the only anniversary. And so last night we invited the community to come, and we had a moment of silence for those who've lost their lives to COVID. And then it was really a thank you to the public for all the love and support we've had from the healthcare providers and the first responders. And so we turned our lights off in the parking lot for the moment of silence for 20 seconds, and then we all turned our lights on and held our cell phones up, and Coco played the Wayfinder, and so it was a nice little event. It's just one of those things that kind of brings people together, and so it's fun to work with JCAD and the police department and the fire department, all of us be kind of proud of the efforts that we've done in this community over the last year.
Yeah, well, I was told it worked rather well. It was a good job.
It was nice.
Yeah, good to see you, unless you have something else there.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
We did cancel Fire and Ice. I'm really disappointed. So our foundation...
Oh, you did? You had to cancel it?
We did. We usually have it in January. And so in 19, we had it, and then COVID started. Yeah. And then, or that was 20. I don't even know what year it is.
It was 20.
And then, so we did not have it at January of 2021, obviously. And so we had put it out to the end of April. That was our first plan. And so we were like, oh, that's probably not going to work because we really won't have enough people vaccinated in the community for sure by then. So we pushed it. We were thinking about pushing it to June, like on a Thursday evening. And Fire and Ice is a really fun event. It's one of our foundations, one of our major foundation fundraisers for the hospital. And but we decided that still in June, people might not feel comfortable, and we want to be, we want to be the leader in what we should be doing. And so,
think you might schedule it for later then?
No, and the reason why is we talked about it, but there's so much in the fall, and if the community really does open up like it's supposed to be, I mean, UCM also forewent a lot of things this last year, and so. Yeah. September is always a busy month with, the Red Out and the Parents Weekend and Berg Fest. And then we have our Ladies Night Out in October for breast cancer. And that's a huge event, which we are planning on having this year because it's a really important event that is really more education focused. And I didn't want to cloud that with having Fire and Ice with that. So we're just going to plan for a really great Fire and Ice in January of 2022. So.
All right. Good to see you again.
Nice to see you. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thanks for coming today. Darinda Dick, CEO, President at Western Missouri Medical Center.